Aesthetics. In this lesson, I introduced to you about aesthetics. In fact, the term is considered as indefinable in the West, but in India, we have a theory called Rasa and Bhava. Rasa means a quintessential of emotions in life at a given time. Bhava, the intrinsic meaning the Rasa conveys at that time. Both the Rasa and Bhava go together like light and shadow, back to back. It is an experience engendered by a given instance, but in the West, the experience is always considered as an indefinable entity. The West had identified some criteria to elucidate the experience of aesthetics. They use structuralist ideas to identify the aesthetics. In India, we adopt both abstractism and structuralism to explain the aesthetics as a composite of both Rasa and Bhava. The present lesson deals with various dimensions of aesthetics, which is nothing but a summation of human experience and feelings arising out of various events or incidents in human life. The lesson informs the student of visual communication that aesthetics is an important aspect of visual communication. The lesson enlightens the student about how the visual is viewed and valued from the window of aesthetics. The lesson explains with the help of some examples the superb contribution of aesthetics to human life. Firstly, as I did before, I deal with the Western perspective of aesthetics, and in the end I will discuss about the Indian experience of aesthetics. Explaining the theory of aesthetics, Denis Dake raises a fundamental question: why do qualities so elusive to define, like a sunset or a half-opened rose, affect us so powerfully? This is an important question to explain in the West. Students studying visual communication, it is suggested that because of the essentially non-verbal nature of aesthetics, what can be written is only a speculation about the nature of visual aesthetics and cannot therefore be of visual aesthetics itself. According to Dake, the aesthetic aspect of communication is a visible, structural and configurational in nature, largely implicit in apprehension, holistic in conveying meaning and cognitive in generative use based on a unique type of visual logic. Three disciplines, philosophy, art and science, have been used historically to study issues about visual aesthetics. Of these disciplines, the visual arts often the most complete and truly visual understanding. The sciences increasingly can, however, offer factual evidence for defining how aesthetic qualities play a foundational role in human communications. Philosophical perspective. Aesthetics is traditionally defined as a study and theory of beauty and of the psychological responses to it. The term specifically refers to the branch of philosophy dealing with art, its creative sources, forms and effects. This definition forms a convenient launching point towards a much wider application of aesthetic phenomena to all visual communications, but it is only a starting point. A brief historical review will outline the problem philosophers have had articulating a theory of beauty. Plato's analysis of beauty in bodies, in souls, in knowledge attempted to describe the affective dimensions based on a love of something of the aesthetic response. His approach became increasingly more abstract until it evolved as a theory of forms based on what he determined to be properties that beautiful things have in common. Subsequent philosophers such as Aristotle and Saint Thomas Aquinas continued for the development of form theory in terms of an analysis of more practical objects from the world of experience. In the Renaissance, the evolving theory of art defined beauty in terms of a harmony of parts. In the 18th century, however, philosophers added notions of sublime and a philosophy of taste, which made notions of beauty more subjective and diffuse and contributed to the fragmentation of the theory of beauty. In other words, a useful theory of beauty based on proportion, unity and other community considered dimensions could not be agreed upon. As Newton observed, because thinkers and the German philosopher Kant sought a unified theory in the realm of aesthetic theory, in which cognitive and affective responses were recognized, but within a personal context that permitted individualistic appreciation of beauty. In more recent times, aesthetic theory has articulated two dimensions, the quality itself and response to it. The aesthetic response then is the object of the search. As aesthetics is a branch of philosophy that is rich in discursive theory and interpretative speculation, but not totally helpful in understanding the role of aesthetic qualities play in visual communication. Visual aesthetics are visual in foundation and holistic in understanding. As the 19th century artist Paul Seggiani observed, talking about art is most useless. Philosophy is based on verbal discursive and partial explication and follows logical linear construction. The thousands of philosophical arguments of aesthetics advanced historically are based on thought and expression of a different order and character from visual creation and communication themselves. Thus, philosophical arguments may prove more of a distraction from exploration of aesthetic aspects of visual communication than an aid to understanding. A biologically based from recent discoveries in neuroscience, understanding of aesthetics could encompass many diverse philosophical arguments and give a more stable foundation for understanding visual communication. The artistic perspective. Using visual and intuitive experimentation, artists provide a complementary body of knowledge and understanding on aesthetic visual communication. Although science provides explicit explanations of aesthetic response, the discipline of art provides a unique virtually based perspective on the role of aesthetics in communication. Artists, as the makers of visual message, are infinitely connected to subtle aesthetic clues, their selection, manipulation and ultimate refinement. This knowledge of aesthetics relationships gained through visual performance provides a permanent visual record of decisions made and wordless aesthetic relationships established. What is suggested is a form of qualitative action research utilizing observed and expressive studio ideas of artists. Artists' preparatory sketches, masquerades, diaries, letters, photographs of developing artworks correlated with the findings from the sciences. Analogical agreement from the perspective provides a critical fact-based filter for expanding understanding of aesthetic communication. Where science and art provide compatible perspectives, there is a hope for a more objective theory of visual aesthetic communication. The scientific perspective. Much scientific research on aesthetics has been generated in biological and social sciences. One branch of knowledge yielding a promising perspective is experimental aesthetics, psychobiology. This approach to exploring aesthetic communication has generally focused on the responsiveness of individuals to aesthetic properties. Over the past 40 years, most notably in Berlin's ecological approach to responsiveness, a more precise understanding of aesthetic relationships has been generated. Berlin coined the term correlative properties to define stimulus qualities that depend on comparative apprehension with present or past stimuli. Correlative variables such as complexity, ambiguity, incongruity, uncertainty, surprise, novelty and indistinctness were shown to be critical to gaining and maintaining viewer attention, critical to sustaining the aesthetic experience. By informed shaping of aesthetic relationships, visual communicators systematically study the capacities of the visual brain using a unique set of intuitive disciplinary tools. Samir Jaki, in his book Inner Vision, an exploration of art and the brain, discusses the primary importance of brain based on disciplinary approach. All visual art is expressed through the brain and must therefore obey the laws of the brain, whether in conception, execution or appreciation. No theory of aesthetics that is not sustainably based on the activity of the brain is ever likely to be complete, let alone profound. The interdisciplinary perspective. Studying all manner of visual communications media, not just those usually classified as art, makes it obvious that all visual communication must utilize the same human perception system as do art objects. There is no separate eye to brain connection for the processing of images labeled as art. By looking at what is scientifically known about the way the brain processes visual information, one can learn more about the nature and functions of aesthetic aspect of perception and therefore the role that aesthetic phenomena play in visual communication. By studying art, one can gain a deeper emotional and intuitive understanding of the multitude of sensitive aesthetic relationships involved in shaping an image of visual communication. Establishing a physical basis for aesthetic expression by rigorous scientific exploration and object-based artistic observation promises to help that individual overcoming the current confusing subjective understanding of aesthetics. A common expression states, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Although it is true that subjectivity can enlighten the individual viewer's personal response, it also obscures deeper, more dependable transpersonal contribution made by the visual communication. Visual aesthetic thought. Aesthetics is not about things but about systems of ecological relationships and the processes that create these relationships and in their interpretation. The primary players in this ecological balancing act are the visible object itself, the maker of this object and the intended viewer. Figure 1.1 illustrates the interactive nature of these three elements. The physical object itself contains observable relational properties among and between all the visible elements. Every line, shape, value, color and so on is related to the other visible elements, creating meaningful connectedness between the developing visible form and as hoped for message is goal of the maker. The physical concrete nature is therefore vital to both the viewer and the maker, helping them connect and communicate. As the image maker engages in shaping the emerging system of phenomenological elements, an intimate relationship develops between object and maker. To fully participate in the creative process, the maker must focus on all emerging physical relationships, mental, non-material relationships plus the relationship to personal intentions and goals. There must also be a concern for the potential response of the viewing audiences. While creating, the maker also serves as an initial viewer of the emerging image. Other viewers will also get visible information from the prescription of the object. Short of explicit verbal statements of intention by the maker, the visually literate viewer needs to complete the maker's creative act by interpreting these relationships among the visible relationships in the created subject. Aesthetics permeates all interactions between these three components of visual communication. Relationships may not immediately reveal the exact intentions of the creator or help the viewer discover any potential hidden interpretations, but intentions of both the maker and the viewer can alter everyone's perspective on imaginistic meaning. Knowledge of meaning can become clearer through a deliberate process of analysis and interpretation. Heightened awareness of one's own mental imagery is the first step to accessing the deeper aesthetic aspect of visual communication. Perception of aesthetic relationships. Visual aesthetic thought is configurational. Aesthetic thought is first of all structural thought. Mental imagery thought is made manifest in the material world. In analyzing a work of aesthetic communication, Rudolf Arnheim has made this case. What matters is that even at the abstract level, the compositional structure is grasped as a whole, namely as a configurational perceptual components symbolizing the psychological theme of the work by direct visual reflection. The example shows also what I meant when I said that basic perceptual features point directly to the deepest meanings of the, even though to do so they need to be seen in the structural context of the whole. Without a physical manifestation, aesthetic qualities would not be perceivable. Without a particular holistic configuration, an image message would be different in its impact. The qualities of the both parts, details and separate visual elements and of the whole structure of an image are simultaneously conveyed in a specific gestalt presentation. The aesthetics are embedded in the whole. For visual communication to take place, both part and parsed and detailed and whole, holistic and global information need to be effectively mixed in the viewer's brain. Studies indicate that the local details of the image are processed in a module within the brain separate from the module of handling global information. A 1995 study by Hellman, Chatterjee and Doty discovered that a global lead dichotomy may be related to the manner in which the right and left hemispheres respond to spatial frequencies. Their data shows that the right hemisphere tends to direct attention towards visual extra-personal space. This makes right hemisphere processing more concerned with global matters of fuzzy, low spatial frequency. The left hemisphere, by contrast, directs attention to visual information taking place close to the body, peripersonal space with detailed, sharp, high spatial frequency. The shaping of successful aesthetic messages therefore must involve synchronization of the two hemispheres through the process of creative visual thinking. Visual information that only considers individual parts rather than contextual relationships results in never seeing the forest for trees. The perception and understanding of the complex relationships are among the most basic contributions of aesthetic perceptions to visually based communication. It appears that individuals trained in visual communication and aesthetic appreciation see more of the global contextual information as well as more detailed nameable parts. Aesthetically trained brains take in more global and structural information and balance it with a subtle perception of small detailed differences. Significant aesthetic perception begins, however, before conscious awareness processes can take reasoned decisions. Aesthetic perception precedes cortical information and processing, and therefore, any conscious awareness of associative symbolic inferences. At the very basic level, visual perceptual processing determines the type and amount of information that is sent to the brain for a further thought. Physiognomic relationships. Aesthetic perceptions seem to utilize large scale aspects of visual compositional structure. These complex relationships between the visual elements are not easily comprehended in verbal terms. The designated term for these complex structural relationships is physiognomics. In aesthetic communication, what is mentally compared and correlated are basic physiognomic structures supporting and composing each image. The contribution of aesthetic thought to the construction of meaning begins with a heightened sensitivity to this foundational aesthetic structure. Such aesthetic physiognomics are not household names for objects that can be easily grasped, named and classified. Aesthetic physiognomics are largely overlooked by the naming functions of the brain's left hemisphere. The sensitive perception of aesthetic physiognomic qualities is present in both children and adults. According to a developmental study by Siege and Berlin, adults as well as children perceive category membership as a matter of degree. Learning to deal constructively with the fuzzy boundaries is the mental space where visual appearance based on analogies begin to form and deep meaning is based. Flexibility and fluency. Creative thinking is closely related to aesthetic apprehension because both use similar areas of the human brain. Fluency and flexibility characterize all healthy and productive visual thought. From a variety of potential visual possibilities, the maker of an image can visually judge the most potentially potent and pertinent structural message. The aesthetic quality or spirit of a visual message can then best be understood as the embodiment of a certain quality of flexibility and fluidity of thought that offers new possibilities to the viewer's mind for consideration. During the graphic ideation of visual messages, designers and artists leave an indelible structural mark on the images, which then sets up a potentially equally creative outcome in the viewer's mind. The quality that makes an effective visual message emerges from a visual comparison with a variety of knowable possibilities. The quality is directly perceivable by a trained individual who sees configurational relationships in their full meaningful context, including very personal and individual relationships to the image. A verbal analysis of aesthetics only deals with one part of a time and is therefore always incomplete in description and understanding. In creative design of visual message as well as in creative viewing and interpretation, flexibility of structural construction vital. Flexibility provides for the purely perceptual apprehension of the novelty, originality and message integrity. Ritualized, stereotyped and repetitive messages are not as likely to to sustain the viewer attention. Therefore, the message's flexibility is crucial for discovering and imparting significant aesthetic aspect of meaning. Implicit or hidden aesthetic relationships. Not all perception of visible world is explicitly available to the maker or the viewer. Neuroscientists theorize that the brain has dual memory systems, one explicit and one implicit. Visual message designers need access to the contents of implicit perception and memory to craft messages with communicative experimental impact. Current research tantalizing suggests that the perception of aesthetics depends on a subconscious substrate that may not be totally a process of inductive learning or even based on enculturation. If this is true, then the visual communication would not have to be learned as communications conventions, but would be innate and support universal aspects of visual communications, as is often proposed for the fine arts. Do skilled visual communicators really see more of the contents of implicit perception configurations made up of lines, shapes, colors, values and so on? A 1995 study of Liu found that experienced designers show greater awareness of implicit subshapes compared to inexperienced designers. Only experienced designers could lower the thresholds of recognition activation, which allowed them to discover implicit emergent subshapes. Seeing more aesthetic forces potentially opens up a world of felt holistic structures qualities. These intuitively felt qualities of orientation, implied spaces and the essence of empty space add significantly to both the quality and quantity of the vision spatial information available to the brain thinks. The viewer can explicitly see and name plus felt qualities of the image that convey more patterns of meaningful forces. Holistic vision, thinking by appearance. How is it that the viewer is able to construct meaningful patterns out of an image's visible and hidden relationships? Could there be a visual semantic structure underlying visual communication? Dr. Betty Edwards first proposed a basic visual language structure in her book Drawing on the Artist Within. Edwards described and demonstrated the expressive communicative potential of an underlying non-objective analog structure visible in student exercises and works by historic arts. Takahashi presented a separate scientific collaboration of this universal semantic potential by using similar visual analogs created by a group of art students. Takahashi showed the rich potential for visual communication in underlying visual holistic structure. Analysis of these analogs by an unrelated group of non-art students identified a remarkable degree of aesthetic communication. Takahashi concluded, this finding suggests that a synergistic relation exists between some perceptual property and a specific word concept. The presence of specific visual structures may activate one's knowledge about kinds of active categories. Takahashi proposed a positive link between affective and aesthetic mental process and later cognitive processes. The implication points to the existence of a purely visual aesthetic language based on holistic abstract structure as revealed in outward appearances. Thinking by appearance is a function of the right hemisphere of the brain. Levy and Trevarthan concluded in a study in 1976 that the right and left hemisphere are subsidized for detecting structural and functional similarities respectively. The left hemisphere makes a logical connection between objects that fulfill similar functions within defined categorical boundaries. Associative reasoning seems to follow the same pattern. In contrast, the right hemisphere specializes in making comparisons based purely on structural appearance. Appearance-based reasoning in the right hemisphere is largely unknown to the left hemisphere. Perception of the same images presented to the left hemisphere yield logical and functional decisions. Thus, words used to interpret meaning from images can, by their linear nature, distort and convert the information in the visual communication. Reconstrual. Mary Peterson examined the multiple interpretive possibilities within a shape of memory and identified a foundational principle of aesthetic creativity she called reconstrual. She provided evidence of the vast potential for multiple mental reconstrual form, a single geometric form instead of a singular visual recognition and categorization. Peterson suggested that in perception there exists a stage in which a structural description of a shape is not connected to an interpretation. At this important stage of aesthetic perception, there appears to be a rapid mental search through an imaginistic mental lexicon for the best potential match with incoming visual stimuli. Awareness of the mind's ability to perform a multiple layered search provided for imaginative perception and the discovery of possible multiple meaningful interpretations. Tolerance for multi-levels of meaning occurring simultaneously is prerequisite to fully understanding meaning making in visual communication. Logical, verbal reasoning is often not been the laboratory for discovering meaningful patterns. Arthur Koestler suggests that the real basis for understanding visual meaning, the mind is insatiable for meaning drawn from or projected into the world of appearances for unearthing hidden analogies which connect the unknown within the familiar and show the familiar in an unexpected light. It views the raw material of experience into patterns and connects them with other patterns. The logic of visual aesthetics. How can the maker and viewer have faith and rely on a level of meaning embedded in an image? Why not opt for an imaginary construction in the mind? A central dilemma of aesthetic visual communication is whether visual images can provide evidence of important human cognitive activity or whether an image communication value is wholly dependent on discursive logic. Can one judge the quality, preciseness and utility of communication by purely visual means? What makes a visual image work for maker and viewer alike? The final part of this chapter, theoretical proposition, speculates on the full cognitive import of aesthetics aspects of visual communication. The hypothesis is that effective communication depends on a unique based logic created through visual methods and processes of the human brain. The order and patterns of the neural brain structure determine visual communication effectiveness. Visual logic is defined here as system of visual relationships that encourages developed internal sense of image cohesiveness, integrity and elegance, necessary to attract attention and guide the viewer to a sense of aesthetic completion and comprehension. 6 individual interlocking principles, the development of this sense of visual logic. These 6 principles are ambiguity and meaning, control of direction, ecological relationships, tensional, unity and realism. The Indian aesthetics. The Indian perception of aesthetics greatly varies with that of the West. There is no problem of subjectivity or objectivity in interpreting Indian aesthetics. The question here is how the Indian visuals are created. The visuals are not created here to a large extent from the imagination of the image maker or visual creator. There is a text and description as far as ancient literature, Vedic literature, epics like Ramayana and Mahabharata are concerned. Thus, the ancient visuals such as drawings and paintings, sculpture, etc. are based on the description of these texts. In whatever mode a drawing is drawn or a painting is done, the basis of these drawings or paintings or visuals stem from the descriptions of the literary or philosophical texts. To that extent, the broad description of the basis of visuals even in the West, according to Dake, is based on philosophy, art and science. The Indian art also combines performing arts such as dance, drama and music, which also form the basis for visuals. Again, these are based on ancient texts. So, except for postmodern art, the Indian visual generation, be it a drawing, painting, sculpture and film, the basis of developing visuals are text based. Therefore, there is no problem of decoding these visuals, its colors, its ecological relationships among the elements. Even a common man has a thorough knowledge of colors, costumes, background and other elements in the painting, drawing or a film visual. The ancient Indian texts have thoroughly enlisted those visuals that add to the human rasa and bhava of individuals. The visuals are created matching those emotions, the quintessence of rasa theory of Indian aesthetics. Summary. In this lesson, I tried to explain to you the complexities involved in reading a visual as a viewer and the possible match or mismatch of the meaning with that of the image maker or creator. Therefore, there is a clash between the subjectivity and the objectivity in attributing or deciphering a meaning from an image. Scholars like Dake offered some scientific methods of reading or making a meaning of an image created by visual arts, but there are so many interpretations arising from different interventions such as Gestalt perception theory to cognitive theory. Aesthetics are the mute, unnameable aspects of visual communication that one could talk about forever. If visual communication is detained as the only clarity and exactness in verbal interpretation, much potential power of visual imagery to connect the human minds would be lost. Literary exactitude forces visual information through too narrow a funnel. Filtered out is some of visual language is richest potential for informational relationship.